This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, everyone, are you ready? Here and accounted for. So welcome to the public. Thanks for being here this evening at our regular commission meeting on January 12th, 2022 already. And it is already 6:30, so we're going to get started. So we will do a roll call for who is here this evening. Commissioner Anaya.
Present.
Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Brennan.
Here.
Commissioner Donner.
Here.
And I am here.
Really?
All right. Yes, I am. Why do we have to do this anyway? Maybe we don't have to do this roll call.
No,
I think it's for the
you do
minutes.
for a quorum.
Per minute.
For the quorum, okay. All right. Pledge of Allegiance, guys, let's stand up for that. And the New Mexico flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do have a motion. I motion that we move items 9 and 10, closed executive sessions, to item 4 and 5 due to legal counsel being unable to meet later on in the meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to move the closed executive sessions 9 and 10 up as items 4 and 5. And the rest of the agenda can remain the same, I presume? Okay.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have our agenda approved. Next is consent agenda. We have the reports from the departments here. So we just need a motion to approve the consent agenda. The other option here is if any board member would like to remove an item, they have the right to do that. And so they just state that they want something to be removed for discussion or a separate vote, for example, and that can be done.
And or add for discussion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion, comments, questions of the department? one of the things I noticed were, all the new business licenses issued. That was great, very good. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Okay, so next we have closed executive session, and, for this one, just, make sure whoever makes the motion to go into closed session reads the entire thing. I actually am going to, in an abundance of caution, I don't feel that I'm necessarily, I have no financial interest, or I'm not an interested party, but, am going to recuse myself from this first closed executive session, since former counselor Sherry Abraham and I were interveners in the case, for the McGill, v. John Bassett. And so I don't think it's an actual requirement or anything against the law if I were to attend, but I think just in an abundance of caution, I will recuse myself for this. So I'm going to go ahead and I believe this is a case where Commissioner Powers, Mayor Pro Tem, also has to recuse.
Yeah, I was the one who filed that lawsuit against, John Bassett with, Mr. McGill, so I have a conflict, so I'm gonna recuse myself from that closed session.
Okay, thank you. And so with that, I am going to turn the meeting over to Commissioner Anaya.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We should.
Okay, that leaves three of us here. Which means that we do have a quorum, therefore we can, pursue with items, 4 and 5. We'll do, no, let's do 4.
Okay.
And then, we'll come back and do 5, with Audrey attending that one. So if I can get a motion.
Make a motion that we go to close executive session as per motion and roll call vote pursuant to New Mexico SA 1978, Section 1015-1, H7 for confidential discussion regarding pending litigation, McGill ETAL versus John Bassett ETAL and related Court of Appeals case A-1-CA-39388.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion at first and a second. Let's take a roll call, starting at that end.
Commissioner Donner, aye.
Commissioner Brennan, aye.
Commissioner Anaya, aye. So we are going to take a few minutes and go into closed session. So make yourself comfortable.
Are they back?
Call this meeting back to order again. Call this meeting back to order again. Do we have a motion to come back into session?
I make a motion that we come back into session.
We have a motion to come back in session. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have first and a second. Any discussions? Hearing none. Let's take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Donner, aye.
Commissioner Brenner, aye.
And I vote aye also. We're coming back into session and from closed session. We discussed only one item, which was item 4, from executive session. Nothing was discussed other than this case. We did not take any votes in there, and therefore we are affirming that, just as I said.
Commissioner Donner, I so affirm.
Commissioner Brennan, I so affirm.
Commissioner Naya, so do I. Okay, now, discussion about the, item 4. Our position, whether the town take over the case, for McGill versus Bassett, we need to bring this up to a vote to determine whether or not that the town is willing and able to take over the case and relieve the other interested party from the financial responsibility, since the town is actually the one that is going to reap all the benefits from the case, whether it be positive or negative. I need to have a motion to affirm the decision.
Commissioner Naya, can I make a quick comment before we go on?
You may.
This was a very difficult decision that we're about to make. So I just wanted, that's why we were in there for so long. We made sure we did our due diligence before we made this decision. So that's all I have, Commissioner. I motion that the town of Edgewood pursue the case versus John Bassett and related to the Court of Appeals case A-1-CA 39388.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to take over the case. All in favor? Roll call?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry. Been a while since I've done this.
I just want to go ahead and add, there were a lot of factors here that we had to talk about and look at, and weighing the benefits for the town overall and what will be best for the town. Decisions like this are never made easily, because you are traveling through a dark hallway. There is no known quantities that what you're going to run into as you go through. So you have to take that into consideration. But what it boils down to is, especially in these days, is when something has been done wrong. Somebody has done something wrong. Too often we're seeing different municipalities that are writing off people and just say, okay, we're going to forget about this, and no punishment or anything ever happens. It is important as a people and as a government that we hold people accountable for all their actions, regardless of how big or how small those actions are. And with that being said, and that is where I came from and how I'm looking at this, is that we need to hold people accountable.
Thank you, Commissioner Kim. And the motion is we have a first and a second to take over the case, and now we're going to take a roll call. Commissioner Wren?
Aye.
Commissioner Sterling?
Commissioner Donner?
Donner?
Aye.
And aye, Commissioner Anaya? Aye. Motion carries. Let's go on to the second case.
I believe we need to go and grab the other commissioners.
Oh, maybe he didn't see me come in.
Oh, yeah.
Because I came this way and he went that way. Well, I'm glad you were looking for me. At least you cared.
No one left behind.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Anaya.
I probably turn over this meeting to you.
Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda, we have the closed executive session. And as per motion and roll call vote pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H7 for confidential discussion regarding pending litigation, Joseph Campbell versus Town of Edgewood et al. And Cheryl Huppert versus Town of Edgewood. Need a motion to go into closed session if that's what we need to do. Anyone?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Anaya.
make a motion that we go into executive session, closed session, as per motion on a roll call vote. Pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H 7, for confidential discussion regarding pending litigation, Joseph Campbell versus the town of Edgewood et al. And Cheryl Hubbards versus the town of Edgewood.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and, we'll go ahead and vote on going into this closed session. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Donner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
and Anaya. I vote aye.
Aye.
And Commissioner Anaya, aye, okay. All right. We will be back shortly.
Who won?
Okay, so we need to affirm that only,
Let me, make a motion to come back.
okay,
Madam Chair, make a motion that we come back, into open session.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll do roll call vote. Commissioner Donner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
and Commissioner Naya.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So we're now back in open session. And we need to do our affirmations. So I affirm that only the item on the agenda, or items on the agenda were discussed, and there are no conflicts, or I have no conflicts of interest.
I so affirm.
Commissioner Brennan,
I so affirm.
Commissioner Donner,
I so affirm.
Commissioner Naya.
I so affirm.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Next on our agenda, we have public comments on agenda items. So for this, we'll start with those here in the room. If you would like to make comment, just please come on up to the mic.
Do we
Make
have
sure
a
you state your
list of
name.
people signed in?
Jesus will bring it. Make sure you state your name and your address for the record, please. Thank you. So first is Chuck Green.
Commissioners, folks, there were several things I wanted to say tonight, but I don't want to bore y'all again. But I heard the rumor that there was going to be discussion on water issues. And I just wanted to say that if you're looking to clean the water up, then you got my vote. And if you're looking to charge me more before you clean the water up, I had to think about that. But the water needs cleaning up. It's, I spend more money on water above and beyond my regular water bill than I ever thought I would. When I lived on a farm, I didn't have to treat the water, didn't have to go out and bottle it or anything like that. Had good water. So if you're gonna vote or take under advisement, purchasing and or otherwise cleaning the water up, I hope you got my blessings, although probably don't need my blessings, you'd like my support. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
My comments are not on the agenda items.
Okay, so you can have your comments in the general part later on in the meeting. And Mr. Ralph Hill.
Ralph Hill, and I live at 19 Cajun Lane, Edgewood, in the town limits. I've written up some comments that really been disturbing me since you commissioners all came on board. And during my commissioner's race, I became aware of some of the events occurring in the town government disturbed me. As I campaigned, I spoke with officials and residents, and I saw negative attitudes, people leaving key positions. To me, it forebode troubles to come. That's and really concerned me that I would be inheriting this, but luckily Ken took care care of that for me. But seriously, sure enough, there was a little help given to transfer the council government into you up there. And it was, to me, it was almost like a scorched earth campaign, trying to give you all as little help as they could to take over. And that, you know, it was evident to me that that was going to happen when I was going around talking to everyone. But, you know, I think the early activities you took, people are questioning, but I give sole credit to Audrey Harmeal. She did a lot. She had things ready to go, and people accused you of all conspiring to violate the Opens Meeting Act. But what I saw Audrey's hand in getting it all prepared for you, so I thank you. And I know the rest of you work like dogs. You spend a lot of hours reading and catching up. It's the first commission meeting that we attended. And instead of welcoming and offering to help you, the threat came up to recall you all, you know, and that really disturbed me. Then also, there was talk about investigating you all so they can facilitate the recalls. And that's just not right. It's, we got to get this town turned around and going. We shouldn't be trying to retaliate because they didn't like the new form of government. You know, the result's going to be, it's going to be hard on Kay Davis and Stephanie, trying to answer all these coming IPRIC requests, which is the Inspection of Public Records Act. You know, I'd hate to see them spending all their time rather than trying to get this town back on track. And people that are requesting these, trying to derail you all, they're only hurting the town citizens. So I recommend that they try to work with you. Let's unite and get going. So, and I have a few comments for Parks and Rec. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else here in the room? All right, then we're going to go online, and we're going to unmute all of the callers. And so callers, if you would like to speak, just go ahead. State your name and your address, please.
This is Martha Eden. I live in Edgewood, and I heartily endorse Mr. Hill's comments. We overwhelmingly voted for this new form of government, and it behooves us to wish it the best success. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other callers? It looks like we have caller 568.
Yeah, hi, it's Chris Orr. I want to hold further comment till later in the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. Okay, we can now ask anyone who's on the go-to meeting. Looks like we have E.L., Garrett Holloman, and John L. Jones, and maybe some others if we scroll down. So feel free to unmute yourself and speak if you would like to regarding any of the agenda items. For those of you that joined via the GoToMeeting link, you have to unmute yourself if you would like to speak and on any of the agenda items. Yeah, so we have Garrett Holloman, John L. Jones, Karen Kaiser, Linda Burke, Michael Morrow, former Mayor Sturley, looks like, and a guest, and the PAC, and Tom. If any of you guys would like to speak, feel free to unmute now. I don't want to cut you off. All right, I guess. Jesus, all of those that I mentioned, they're not callers, right? No. Okay, just double checking. Okay. Next, on the agenda, we have matters from commissioners. And so there were a few things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, we do have a mayor's summit this Friday regarding the infrastructure bill and monies that will be coming from the federal government. And this is something that the governor, Muhan Grisham, has called for the mayors to come together for this. It was going to be in person, and at which point we had posted a possible forum, but they have since changed that, and so it will be a remote, a video conference summit. And so with that, we don't see that there's any need for posting anything about a quorum, because we can join separately and don't have to worry about that. So, but it is an important meeting that will go over many of the projects that the town will even discuss tonight. And so we've been discussing the capital projects over each meeting that we've had, and there's a lot of opportunity. And so we'll be able to get familiar with that and the next steps from here. And also wanted to mention that the team luncheons we had went really well. I'm so thankful to the staff that have hung in there and are ready to move forward in a positive direction and get things done without being held back. Special thanks, of course, to our interim clerk and town manager, Kay Davis and Stephanie Muller. I just respect you guys so much for all of your hard work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say that enough. I am so grateful. These ladies have come in and really just helped with problem solving and hit the ground running. They know exactly what needs to be done. Very, very competent. And again, thank you so much. And then I did want to address, there were some questions on the form of government. And so just wanted to reiterate some of the things that I have mentioned before. And then also there were some questions on the Nextdoor app that I answered. And the newspaper, actually, the Independent, had some pretty good summary of it too. But just wanted to kind of go over that again and let you guys know that the main differences between the two forms of government. So with mayor council, of course, the mayor was elected separately from the council members, and the mayor acted as the CEO, in addition to being having some legislative power to break ties. Okay, so he didn't vote all of the time, but he was the CEO and had a lot of a strong mayor power, right? And so with the change to commission manager, of course, that position is gone, as far as the CEO is no longer elected. So the CEO now is appointed by the commissioners. And so the question came up, do we have commissioners in addition to counselors? And the answer is no, we don't. We just no longer have counselors at all. We are all commissioners. We each have an equal vote. So legislatively, anything that we decide up here, you guys hear me voting because that's the way it is under commission manager. And I talked last time about the band of executive level of employees that we do appoint. And so that would be the town manager, the town clerk, the chief of police, the town attorney, any other positions that we choose, we can actually put in that band. And then, below the town manager, this is a change from mayor council. Under town manager, she will be hiring, firing, evaluating what's called the administrative level of the town. So there's the executive that the commissioners handle, and then the administrative. And in the past, under mayor council, the employees, the council with the mayor had that ability to hire, fire, and evaluate, right? So now, for the administrative level, it's just under the town manager, very similar to how a superintendent handles all of the personnel for the school districts. That's an example. But yet, statutorily, we still do have a mayor and a mayor pro tem, and so that is required by statute, and it's very clear. So that's why we have had to elect amongst ourselves, essentially a chair and a vice chair. And so it's just different words for municipalities. It's just always going to be mayor and mayor pro tem, okay? And the roles though have changed, and I think I've kind of explained that. The mayor still has, kind of the spokesperson role, the legal head of the entity. There are civil matters, military matters. The Municipal League actually does have a definition. I read you one of the Municipal League last time in our operating resolution, but here's another one. The commissioners are handing me here from the Municipal League Pocket Guide, and so this one says, soon after the election, the commission selects one of its members to act as mayor for 2 years. The mayor has all the powers and duties of a commissioner, including the right to vote on all matters that come before the commission. The mayor does not have the right to vote a second time to break a tie, so they're just making that clear. The mayor is also the official head of the municipality for all ceremonial purposes, civil process, and for military purposes. And then it references the statute of 31410. And then as well, like I said, I had pulled, I'm not sure if it's in here, but I had pulled from the Municipal League description of the mayor as being the legal head of the entity and spokesperson. So there are still a lot of duties that the mayor has to do. This mayor's summit is one example, right? The town does need a spokesperson and a leader in that role to run meetings, to create the agenda, all kinds of different tasks, I guess you could call it. And of course, the mayor pro tem has duties as well that I kind of outlined. And for the town of Edgewood, we made the decision that the mayor pro tem would be able to sign checks and review expenditures and perform other duties like a check and balance on administration, basically. It's the checks and balances and internal controls, we call them in the audit world. And so those are very, very important. Some municipalities, the mayor does sign checks, but I thought it's not good for one person to have too many duties and too much access. So I recommended that the mayor and the town manager not have that ability, but be more in like a reviewer type role where they're reviewing things without a lot of access to have too much control to do something. It's just part of the safeguards that we put into place in accounting. And so let's see here. What else do we need to cover with all of that? Oh, so the main difference, all of that to say again, that the main difference is that the CEO is now, instead of the mayor, is the town manager, okay? The other powers that changed are really what convinced me to support commission manager. And those three powers, because I'm just going to be completely straightforward and transparent here, which you guys already know, corruption can happen in any form of government, right? But the difference that I saw here with commission manager is that there's more checks and balances by the public. So now the public has the right of ballot initiative. They can add something to the ballot referendum. and then also, the right of recall. And so with those three powers, I feel like it gives the public and the people more of a check and balance on their government. And so the government is only here to serve the people. And so in my viewpoint, giving them those tools, I guess you could say, is a very, very good thing and a check and balance on their government. And so that's really what convinced me to support the change to commission manager. And so I just wanted to kind of cover some of those differences again, and that's all I have for tonight. So next we have Mayor Pro Tem Powers.
So I'm a bottom line guy, and for me, the bottom line is, when we looked at what was happening in Edgewood, we chose commission manager. I supported it because it was proven to stop corruption, much more so than the concentration of power in a strong mayor. So power corrupts, that's an old saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Anytime you concentrate power in one person, that's like the king. And that's why we got away from that in 1776. So the idea is to spread that power out, and that's what commission manager does. It spreads it out among these people. The executive now is the town manager, and we supervise the town manager, and they serve at the will of the commission. So we're not concentrating all of the power in one area so that it can be abused. So that's the basic thing for me. And the people may not know what the right of initiative is. If somebody wants to pass an ordinance, they can promote it to the town council, the commission. And if the commission doesn't pass it, they can get a petition, circulate it. It goes on the ballot for a vote. And if the people of Edgewood voted in, whether the commission likes it or not, it goes into effect. The same is true if we pass an ordinance that the town doesn't like, and they can circulate a petition, put it up to a vote of the people, and they can stop the ordinance of ever going into effect like it never happened. So it is a great check and balance. And anytime you have checks and balances by the people on the elected officials, it's going to be a much more fair system, and it's going to be much more representative of the people. It also behooves those that sit in these chairs to listen to the people, because we don't want to have them go through the special election and do something like that in order. So we're going to listen to proposals that people want to pass an ordinance, they want to rescind an ordinance. So that's what I liked about it, and it actually has been proven. There's a website about the National Association of City Managers that goes into great detail about it's been proven to stop corruption. There's far less corruption that happens under commission manager than happens under the mayor council form. So that's my take on it.
Any other comments in general?
I'm really excited about the opportunity on the capital outlay. There's supposedly going to be a tidal wave of money coming, and we want to try to capture as much of that for Edgewood as we can, because if we don't, it's going to get spent, but it'll go to other communities. So I really appreciate that. And with regard to some of the comments that we heard from the audience, I agree that it's hard to imagine the amount of work and the amount we've accomplished in a short period of time, given the place was almost burned down when we got here. So there was so much wrong, and you've done a fantastic job of getting people organized, getting the right people in, and getting them appointed in a short period of time. It seems like I've been in this chair a year now, and it's only been about 10 days, the amount that's happened. So I really appreciate that, and that's my comments.
All right, Commissioner Anaya.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just thank you guys for bringing up the story of how Edgewood became Edgewood 2.0. I ran for office because I wanted to help the town of Edgewood and to serve with all the knowledge that I had from being elected on the Board of Education and also our planning and zoning. And I thank you guys again for voting me in. So you gave me a job that, well, I can say it pays very well. it's like zero. And I have spent well over 40 hours a week here going over all the projects that the town has in the back for us to look at. And it's just a matter of cleaning them up, straightening them out, making sure that the proper documents are all in place. And then we'll go forward with what we have to vote on and proceed for the betterment of the town of Edgewood. So having said that, I had a meeting the other day with Elvira, and the meeting was just to kind of fill me in and tell me what has been going on through the organization. And what they do is basically just help the town grow. It's an economic development group, and it's well organized. And they help the entire county, Santa Fe County, Torrance County, Estancia, Moriarty, Edgewood, and make sure I didn't leave anybody out. And they currently have some 14 projects in the mail that's going to help the entire East Mountain. One of the projects that Alveda is working on right now is it's a tap room, and we will be voting on and discussing the liquor license for them. I believe it's next week. They are coming into here into Edgewood. I believe they purchased the undercar lube shop, something like that. And it's located right next to the old town hall. So I guess we'll be moving next to the old town hall. It's what Jerry kind of wants to do. And anyhow, they'll need to be hooked up to the sewer lines, and that's one of the reasons that we'll be working so hard and trying to advance the treatment plant so that it will be able to handle the businesses that are willing to come to the town of Edgewood. And there's quite a few of them that are looking at us. So we need to work real hard and diligent to make sure that the sewer plant that we do put in place is going to be able to handle the tremendous amount of economic development for you people here in the town of Edgewood. And I'm honored to be able to work on that. That's one of my strong points. And I love doing it. Just remember one thing, that the tap room will be bringing in a pretty good sum of gross receipt taxes, and that's how we survive. That's how the town gets its operational funds. They didn't ask for anything as far as deductions for taxes, or they didn't ask for any assistance from the town of Edgewood. So that was pretty nice of them. They're coming in and spending their own money. They're using local contractors to help build their facilities. So again, we survive on taxes, and I've always said that I'm not in favor of raising taxes for the people that live here. We'll just let the people that come and visit here pay us. So that's my spiel for right now, and I guess we'll go over a lot of the other stuff during the discussion for capital outlay. But as you can see right now, the sewer plant is a very, very vital part of economic development, and we are going to work pretty hard to get this done for you guys. I thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brennan.
I made mention about this before, and I'm going to go further into detail on that, is that our town hall, we need the American flags out front. I mean, it's plain and simple. And I've been looking at the outside and different ways that we might be able to do it, and it came to me also that with the way the sidewalk is coming up to the building, it might be better to put two different flagpoles side by, on both sides of the sidewalk. One flagpole will have the American flag on it, the other one would have the state of New Mexico flag on it. We need to show that we have pride in our town, we have pride in our state, we have pride in our country. And one of the best ways to show that is by flying the flag of the state and the nation. So I'm gonna, and here coming up in future meetings, we're gonna take a look at the, working on getting proposals on putting two flagpoles out there and working on a system where the flags can be raised and taken down each day in accordance with protocol for flags. The other thing that came to my mind is not only about the flags, is that American flags, once they become unusable, once they become too tethered, they have to be properly disposed of. And a lot of people don't realize there is actually a proper way to dispose of them. The average person just really can't go out and do that. And I reached out to the local scout troop here in Edgewood and talked to the scoutmaster, and he is very excited about getting involved with the town to start a program to where people can bring their American flags in, and the scout troop will collect those and have the proper retirement ceremonies for those flags. There's some things they're going to have to deal with. One of the things is they have to get clearance because it does require basically you're going to be burning the flag. You're cremating the flag, so it's the best way to put it. But the scoutmaster, he was really excited about it. Later on this year, he does have a couple of scouts that are going to be going for Eagle Scout. And I don't know, for those of you who don't know about, when you go for an Eagle Scout, you have to have a project. And that would be an excellent project for them to start, to work on a more permanent type of a depository spot for people to bring flags in, instead of just having a cardboard box, something like that, something more dignifying to the American flag. So I'm really excited to be able to work with the scout troop on that and to get those flagpoles out there, because it's just something that needs to be done.
Any other general comments?
Nope, that's all I have for right now.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Donner.
Yes, so, again, I really appreciate everybody just giving me the opportunity to be up here and serve you all. Last week, we had something tragic happen in our town. We had a fatal shooting. Something that could have been easily avoidable had people just talk to each other. And we ranked number 9 in the state for safety. We've been much higher in the past. What I want to do is I want to work with the police department and figure out how we can bring ourselves back to being number 1. Safety. Safest town in the state. I know I've been talking to Chief and a number of the officers. There's a lot of ideas on how we can accomplish that. So I'm going to be working with the police department and with the fellow commissioners on really driving that point home. Just to kind of piggyback on Commissioner Anaya's comments about economic development, I will be bringing forward a committee focused solely on Edgewood for economic development here in the town. Avita is good, and it's a good partnership to have in conjunction, but we have some of the brightest and smartest people in the state when it comes to economic development in the town of Edgewood. And I think we need to have that singular focus on just us and how we can improve our town. So I will be bringing that to the commission next meeting, on ideas on how we should form that, and bringing some good growth, controlled, organic growth to the town. The tap room is a great step forward on that, but there are other buildings and other parts of the town that can be developed, and that's a huge goal of mine, and that's where my strengths lie as well, is in that economic development and really bringing that senior focus to just Edgewood. We've got people in the town that know how to write grants, along with our staff, and I just think that we should be reliant on ourselves as well and be a little more self-sufficient. So that's all I had to say. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. Okay, matters from the interim town manager, Kay Davis. You have to speak pretty close to the mic.
First of all, we would like to, the staff would like to thank Commissioner Audrey Harmio and Sterling Donner for providing the food for the incentive for the employees to feel like they are being appreciated. It was a wonderful gesture. The food was provided 2 days last week, and that has helped the morale of the employees. Second item, Tim DeVark, who was the interim planning and zoning administrator, was sick, and he came in Friday and resigned. So the position is vacant. We have been recruiting internally, and as of today, we have advertised externally, and we hope to have some good candidates apply for the position. It's very important that we fill it. And we also realized that our website was not updated correctly and as quick as it should have been. So we have had an outside entity who actually came in today and is beginning the process of helping update the website and have the proper and most current information in the website. And if you would be patient with us, I hope we could get this done within a week or so. And if there's any input from the public of if they see something in the website that they feel like should be looked at or changed, let us know. And you can either, email the town manager at Edgewood or Stephanie as the clerk at Edgewood-nm.gov. And we would certainly pay attention to it and respond as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, matters from the interim clerk treasurer, Stephanie Muller.
Yes, again, thank you, commissioners, for the luncheon last week. We really appreciate it. It was really good to have everybody there and get to know each other, be introduced to our commissioners and our mayor. Thank you. For me, I have, I'm going to update you on upcoming events. Municipal Day will be on February the 4th at the La Fonda. And I don't know if you're familiar with Municipal Day, but it is a gathering of mayors, commissioners, councilors, managers, clerks. They're all invited. And the Municipal League will update you on legislative matters that have passed or things that would concern the municipality. There's a registration fee, I believe, and there's still more information to get from that. But we have given the Municipal League all of your email addresses and contact numbers, so you may be receiving information on that as well. But it's very informative. We've gone, I used to always go. It's very, very informative. It's very good information for you. The other thing is you had asked about the Molly and the newly elected officials training. That is going to be held on March 24th through the 25th, and it's going to be at the Jury Plaza in Santa Fe. They are still putting all of the information together, and they were revamping the Molly training program. So again, I will keep you updated, and you should be receiving information on your emails from the league on that one. On some of these trainings, I will keep up with who's attending and make sure that we always post quorum, for you to be able to attend these. The other thing I have is that I am working to find a photographer for the commissioners and our mayor for the website. And so we can take your picture, and then also, if you could email a brief bio about yourself. We've had that on the website prior, and if you'd like to continue that, we'll work with you and get that information. So if you would email that to Kay or myself, that would be great. And then I will try to organize the pictures to be taken like prior to a meeting while you're here, instead of, trying to get him to come in and catch us at different dates. The other thing, that I had is, we did post a notice of quorum so that you could attend the re-grand opening of the library. So if any of you are planning to attend that, we have, notice of quorum posted for you. And the last thing I have is that we are processing business cards for each of you, and hopefully you'll be getting those soon. We'll get you several going. We're gonna do some within in-house to get until we are able to order all of your information, all your cards. We were waiting for all the phone numbers to come in, and I think all the commissioners, mayor, you have your town cell phone. So that's the only information we're gonna make available, would be your emails and your town cell phone. Unless you want additional information, please let us know. Any other private phone numbers or anything like that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Update on financial reports. I just did want to mention that, Mr. Senator from DFA had blocked off the week of, sometime during the week of the 17th. And I do know that now that we have, approved Amelia to go ahead with some of her duties that have been held back, and also, of course, working with, Stephanie and Kay, they, are now moving forward in all of the reconciliation process and getting through a lot of that so we can complete our quarterly reports and financial reports too. So that is in progress, and I think well along the way. Okay, discussion and action items. First, we have Resolution 2022-007, a resolution to designate an individual to sign the grant agreement SAP 19T2546GF Capital Appropriation Project Edgewood Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade. So for this, commissioners, I guess this is just something that is specifically required that we approve by resolution. And looks like it's drafted to allow me to sign the agreement for this project. And Kay Davis, town manager, and Stephanie Muller, clerk treasurer, or their successors are official representatives who are authorized to sign and request RFRs, reimbursement requests, and act as a single point of contact concerning all matters related to the grant agreement. And I would say we probably should just change that to act as points of contact. So we'll strike a single and just make it act as points of contact. But we do need a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, as you stated, with the correction included of deleting a single point and making it plural points of contact.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on this resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution number 2022-007 passes. Next, we have resolution 2022-008, resolution to research the town of Edgewood's drinking water quality and sewer treatment plant via water treatment, edited to say a resolution to improve the town of Edgewood's drinking water quality and sewer treatment plant efficacy via water treatment. And so I did bring this forward in the past, but of course this was blocked from being added to the meetings or any agenda, regardless of the judge's writ that any individual board member is allowed to add items to the agenda. And so this resolution has been here for some time, in existence anyway, but I wasn't allowed to share it. So I'm so relieved. I'm just so relieved that we can take a look at this tonight. And really where this is coming from is that the previous administration was exploring, condemnation of Epcor Water Company, a private water company, through eminent domain at a cost estimated to be no less than $14.5 million. The public, in the meetings that we had, most of the time, if there was a comment, it would usually be, overall, everyone was saying, no, we don't want to take over a company and pay for a company for services we're already receiving. We already received this, we already paid for this. Why would we want, as taxpayers, to purchase the same system that we already have, right? So that was kind of across the board. But every now and then you would have someone online or in the meeting say, well, but we are concerned about the water quality, and they would bring up concerns about the quality. And so that has a lot to do with the cost. I mean, everyone knows here, most people don't drink the water. There's all kinds of costs: dishwashers, water heaters, bottled water, plumbing situations that happen with, it being degraded due to the low water quality. And we also have the situation with the sewer plant. And so the input into the sewer plant is definitely an issue, because if it was improved, if the water quality was improved, the operations of the plant would be improved as well, and even the capacity of the plant would be improved. And so I guess, in the beginning of this, I'm just kind of pointing out that with all of this cost that would gain us nothing but the same system that we already have, why not look at instead water treatment? Because that's what would matter to the public. And so there's many, many other reasons that we could discuss about Epcor, but I just wanted to kind of give you where this is coming from and what I think it could accomplish. So we just need a motion and a second, and can have more discussion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion that we pass resolution number 2022-008, resolution to improve the town of Edgewood's drinking water quality and sewer treatment plant efficacy via water treatment.
We have a second.
I second.
Commissioner Donner seconds. Thank you, guys. We'll open it up for discussion now.
I have some discussion.
Sure.
I'd just like to say that I read Dennis Engineering's engineering report, and I'm familiar with the proposal that the town was forwarding it to take over Epcor. The proposal was going to cost the town an enormous amount of money, and it would not do anything regard to water quality. That was clearly stated in the engineering report on the takeover. The engineering report that Dennis Engineering did showed that the sewer plant is being negatively affected to a high degree by the hardness of the water. So there is a connection there, and I'm really happy that we'll be exploring this now. There's so many options in this resolution, it's very broad. So we can try to find the best option, the most cost effective for the town, that will accomplish what people have been complaining about with water quality, and also improve the efficiency of the sewer plant and reduce the enormous maintenance costs. They're spending $1.2 million right now to maintain the plant, part of which is due to the hardness of the water. So I'm very much in favor of this.
I think a P3 agreement is what this town needs. I think that it's already been voiced in public comment by Mr. Ring that he's all for it. And I know that I, for one, would love to see improved water quality on the town, and to see the cost of what that would take to have that happen. I know in my discussions with Epcor, they're willing and wanting to partner with us to improve the water. all for this. It solves a lot of problems, not just better tasting water, but it helps improve the wastewater treatment facility in ways that I don't necessarily understand, but can wrap my head around at some point.
It seems like it would help with economic development too.
Yes, especially for things like the tap room, you know, especially if they're gonna be brewing any of their own type of beer, they have to have good quality water. And reverse osmosis for those types of companies they're expensive, especially when it's doing high volumes of water. And then they're gonna have to change out different types of filters and everything. It takes a while to get it dialed in. So I'm all for it.
I know for anybody out there who has, you know, any type of water treatment at their own home, water softeners, reverse osmosis filters, I know I've got them at my house. The hard water that we have here takes its toll on those items too, and it shortens their lifespan just because they have to regenerate so much. The other thing that when they have to regenerate, you're using salt to regenerate them, and that regeneration water that goes through it has to goes into your septic system, and it's got to be disposed of. It goes into the ground. Well, that's a lot of salt that we're pumping into the ground that we don't need to be. If the quality of the water can get better, that means your water softener systems are going to not have to be regenerated as much. And by reducing the amount of regeneration you're doing, it's going to also reduce the amount of salt that's being pumped into the ground. As from an environmental point, I think that's just a win-win there.
And coming from a plumbing family, which I grew up in, hard water is really bad for your pipes. And if there's any way that we can improve that water quality, it will help you not have to have as much maintenance on your home with bad pipes.
Having heard that, coming from a plumber, it's gonna put me out of business. That's all right, heck. What I like about this resolution, though, is it gives us an opportunity to look at a tremendous amount of sources that are available to us for funding. And some of this could be immediate funding because the feds gave us a good chunk of money, and there's still some left over for wastewater and for water treatment and for water. So we'll be able to work on this project a lot faster than what we anticipated. So that's good news for the town of Edgewood. I just think that as soon as we can get this project rolling, we'll be able to really enhance our economic development, and but most of all, we'll be able to satisfy the people that live here in the town of Edgewood. And to me, that's more important. I drink the water. Well, I don't drink the water here. I do bring in my own water, but we do use the water a lot from the water systems that are here. So, you know, they've done a great job at making sure that we do have water for fire, for safety, for laundry, for growing trees, and even, believe it or not, even some of the treatments that families put in their own homes, you know, they've been able to drink the water also. So, having said all of that, with this resolution, again, it's going to be able to let the commission go to work right away. So I thank you all.
And I think this may be the number one thing that I heard during my campaign was better water, please.
And a swimming pool.
I didn't hear that one as much.
But you heard it.
I did.
We're in the country, go to the pond.
No.
We We live in the desert, sir. Dirt tanks.
Yeah, they're cleaner.
Well, thank you guys. I really, really appreciate the support on this, and I think it is something very positive. It could be a win-win and a solution to various problems. And with the funding coming in to the state, I mean, this is an opportune time for it. So, let's see, we had the motion in a second. I'm just going to read the now therefore be it hereby resolved that the governing body, the inaugural commission of the municipality of the town of Edgewood, state of New Mexico, hereby commits to pursuing water quality improvements. And we'll do this on roll call vote. So Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan.
Aye.
Commissioner Donner.
Absolutely, aye.
And I vote aye. All right. Okay, next. We have Resolution 2022-009, a resolution re-adopting an infrastructure improvement plan, 2023 to 2027, capital projects ICIP. So this was already discussed and agreed upon in the past and brought forward. I didn't find the exact meeting where that was done, but I did just include it again in the packet. And so if you guys want to bring it to motion in a second, then we can discuss.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Town of Edgewood Resolution Number 2022-009, a resolution readopting fiscal year 2023 through 2027 Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, ICIP.
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Looks like we had the motor grader, pedestrian bridge project, Echo Ridge improvements, Church Street roadway project, and the wastewater treatment plant upgrade.
I think as you stated already, this has been approved. I don't have anything.
Okay. We will have the opportunity later in the meeting as well to make some additional requests to the legislature and capital outlay from various funding sources, but just wanted to get this resolution officially passed.
I just have one comment. In working with Kay and looking at the DFA requirements, it is necessary that we have this entered into their system in order to be able to make any capital outlay requests. So it's
Hey, Jared, can you speak further into the mic?
Sure.
I'm even having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. So it's necessary to get this into the DFA system in order to be able to ask for any capital outlay or capital improvements, and the deadline is tomorrow. So it's one of those short deadlines that we were given. We've been in office about 10 days, but it's been an enormous amount of work. Everybody's working hard on it to get it in. We'll make sure we get it in by tomorrow.
Any other comments? Go ahead and vote. Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Next, the sound system upgrade. Commissioner Anaya.
Actually, I want to turn this over to Jesus and let him do a little bit of talking.
So currently I'm working getting some quotes. It's kind of hard to find some tech people that know how to do the audio. I'm not really an audio person myself. So there is a couple I found out of state, but there's one in Albuquerque. I'm just waiting for that quote. I don't know how much it's going to cost. And there is one thing for the audio I want to do. Instead of using that phone, there is a system that I can implement. It's like a little amplifier that could just get the mic audio directly to go to instead of using the phone.
Okay.
And what is that sound system that you're talking about?
It's a device.
Okay.
I just have a question.
But
I can. Well, this, I know it's a little awkward when people try to comment from the public on, in the, using the phone system, because we don't know who's who. Is there any way to include, some equipment or whatever we need to identify people so that it's not quite so awkward for people to comment?
That would be an entirely different application. I can probably find a retailer to sell something, or like a meeting solution thing, but I don't know. I'll talk about that right now.
If it's possible to look into that, because I know it's awkward for people, and it discourages them a little bit from commenting, because everybody's speaking at once, nobody knows who's up.
Yeah, the most popular ones are, go to, which is the other one, Microsoft Teams, there's another one I can't remember. Zoom, but,
Yeah,
different ones.
even using Zoom, I know people can call in on their telephone if they don't have the technology on their computer to do the video participation. And you can, I think, add their name on, whoever it is, so maybe that's something to look at. Zoom is everywhere, it's cheap, we don't have to really buy any more equipment, so you might want to switch to that.
Okay, but I think
So
Phil,
the problem with Zoom, Jerry, is there's a lot of different versions of it, and it can be very expensive. The easiest one, Google Meets, is great. GoToMeeting, it should be, like when somebody calls in, you should be able to put their name under caller 1, 2, 3, 4, I would assume.
yeah, you could do it.
Yeah, so, maybe before a meeting, we just ask for names.
Yeah. Anything that will make it a little less awkward. I mean, I used to call in and it was kind of awkward. You never knew when your mic was unmuted. If the caller's 16, I don't know that I'm caller 16 when I call in. So anything that would help to make it a little easier for the public to comment.
Well, and Jesus, you could always pick up the phone and ask each one individually, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So maybe we just do that leading up to 6:30, and then anybody that calls in after the fact can be added in at that point. Because GoToMeeting is actually a very good platform. I don't think we need to switch up the platform. I just think we need to just get that a little bit more organization done.
Operated a little differently.
Yeah.
Is it doable, Jesus?
It is, I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Also we're gonna talk about, for the upgrade, they also want to do the telecoil, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's for the, imperative of hearing, so I'm still working for those codes as well.
Good.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you. Commissioner Knight, anything else on that?
Yeah, I just wanted Jesus to speak because he told me that he was shy speaking to the public, so I said, well, I'll break that rule.
Did a good job.
I'm gonna let him do that more and more now. There's only one way to get rid of fright, face it. Along going back, with the sound systems, there's technology changes every day, and, we always find something different that'll work for us. So, Jesus has been studying a lot on, a lot of the systems of how to upgrade, and he's taken that responsibility, and he's pretty proud of it. So I'm glad he's working with us on that. And going back to the T-coil so that Chuck can hear us and not sit there and point at us. And there, it's a good system, and I think that the people that need ADA assistant, this would be very helpful to them. Thank you.
Okay, next, lighting around the town hall building.
I guess I'll take that. We are in the process of trying to, again, fix the lighting on the outside so that for the security of the employees and also the guests of the town of Edgewood. We're also going over the lease agreement with the Moriarty Edgewood School System and the building, and we're going to determine who's responsible for upgrades and, you know, items of such. So that just happens to be also falling under the lease agreement, which is item F. So I'll let Audrey, speak a little on that, and then I can, go over some more on that too.
Okay. And, backing up to the lighting, Commissioner Brennan?
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, it's dark, both in the front and in the back, and especially during the winter, it's not safe for people to be going out there. And I'm not talking about not safe because of a criminal element, I'm just talking about not being safe because you can't see where your feet are. And there's too many trip hazards out there. I can remember at one time, somebody tripping over one of the concrete stoppers for the cars, just because you couldn't see the darn thing. And with you know, putting out lighting, I mean, back in the old days, lighting was a real expensive thing, used a lot of electricity. Today, lighting is a real simple thing. It's with LED lights, you can make it as bright as daylight out there, and the amount of electricity you're having to use is minimal. And if there is an issue with trying to tie into the building's electrical, they also have lighting systems that are battery contained and recharged during the day from solar. So no matter what way we can go, there should be a good way to get lighting both in the front and in the back for the safety of everybody.
I agree. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we fly flags at night, we also have to have lights.
Yeah, if we do fly the flags at night, they need to be spotlighted. If we don't fly, we just have to have somebody that's designated to take the flags down.
Okay, so I'd make sure that when we get quotes, that we have that quoted along with
the lighting.
With flagpoles.
Yeah, flagpole lighting.
Yep.
And those too also come with LED systems that actually mount on the top of the pole. So
It's just a matter of getting things done, right? So we'll get there. The lease with the school district. So it took us a little while, but we're finally able to get a copy of the lease from the district, and taking a look at that now, like Commissioner and I have mentioned. And I think the bottom line on this one is just that we need to make sure that we are safeguarded long-term with whatever direction the town may want to go, to stay here or build, or, you know, whatever it may be. I'm not, you know, saying that there's a particular path, but just taking a look at the terms, and then also making a list. The town manager had a great idea of making a list of things that need to be, you know, upgraded, repaired, maintained, etc., and tracking, you know, those repair orders that are submitted to the district, and make their job easier, as Kay said, and that way we can make sure that things are getting taken care of here. I've heard of toilets, for example, that have been plugged for 4 years or not working for 4 years. So that type of stuff is unacceptable, and there's more than one thing. So I think creating a list and then just working with the administration to, you know, make sure that gets done. So, Commissioner and I, anything else on that?
Well, the only thing that I can really say on that, other than what you've already reiterated on this, is that communication has always been a big problem between anybody. So we hope to fix that by talking to the district, you know, more often, and you know, they're there to help us, and we're there to ask for the help. So we will do that.
Okay, next, P&Z appointments. So I would like to move to appoint Diana Williams and Cheryl Nino to the P&Z for 1-year terms.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
For the P and Z, that puts it at 5, but are we allowed to have more than 5 if we want?
There is an alternate position that has to be filled too, so there'll be 5 plus an alternate.
Okay.
There is an alternate, and then also, I did receive a call from, former Mayor Brad Hill that his circumstances at work, have changed and that he will not be able to, serve on the P&Z commission. So that leaves open, I think, one more, at least, one or two, or the one and then the alternate.
Now, is that one a 2-year term or a 1-year term?
Have to look back at the last agenda.
He was appointed for 1 year, Brad was.
He was just one? Okay.
Okay,
So his is just vacated and it's a 1-year term.
excellent. Well, not excellent, but.
So for purposes of discussion, also, I wanted to let you guys know there was a note, on Ms. Williams' application that I think her daughter-in-law works over in the court. And so I did look at the nepotism and that didn't seem to me to conflict with anything. The court is a separate department altogether. The two would not be interacting, and she's not a mayor or a council or town manager or, you know, a person of authority that would be hiring or appointing anyone. She's just, you know, not just, but she's on the P&Z commission. And so I just wanted to, you know, all transparency, bring that up, that she disclosed that, and ask the commissioners here if you guys have any objections at all. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you don't approve her, but, you know, it's just that I guess her daughter-in-law works over at the.
Well, the nepotism ordinance just prevents people from their immediate family being appointed or employed under their direct supervision. So that doesn't.
Two totally different departments.
Yeah. And I just want to mention that I did talk to both of the nominees and talk with them about the level of commitment to doing the training that's needed to do this, and the time commitments. Both of them are absolutely on board with doing what they have to do to receive that training.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the ordinance also applies to not just being supervised, but not being able to appoint themselves. So she's not in the position of mayor or commission or town manager, for example, that is then appointing somebody else, like a daughter-in-law. That's not the case. So that's the difference as well, not just being supervised. She's not doing any appointing. And so, okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, we'll do roll call vote. So, Mayor Pro Tem Powers.
Aye.
And Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
And Commissioner Donner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Parks and Rec appointments. We have 3 here. Ben Wiltbank for 2-year term, Bryce Simmons for 1-year term, Michael Morrow as alternate. And just need a motion and second. Well, I'll make the motion, sorry. I move to approve these 3 gentlemen for these terms indicated that I just read off, appointment to Parks and Rec Committee.
I second.
Any discussion?
I just want to make the comment that this is exciting to see so many people willing to serve in this capacity. It is breath of fresh air. Maybe not so much for.
Somebody in the audience.
What's that?
We got somebody with a hand up.
Oh.
Comment from floor? Just
Yes.
like correction to your nomination, it should be Simon and not Simmons.
Simon.
One M.
I
Just want to make sure you
apologize.
talk about me and not some near.
I didn't catch that either, Bryce, thank you.
But again, I'd just like to thank you for all of these people that have decided to step forward. It's very much appreciated.
Bryce, would you like to come up and say anything else?
Well, I'll send my t-shirt and then.
Okay, all right, well then maybe we'll do the vote first and then have them a chance to speak. Any other discussion? Wanna make sure. All right, okay, so Commissioner Brennan,
Aye.
Commissioner Donner,
Aye.
Commissioner Anaya,
Aye.
Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
aye. Okay, let's see if, is Ben Wiltbank with us? Not sure if he's on the phone. If you, can you unmute?
Oh, yeah.
Don't hear anything. I see Michael
They just
though.
seem-
Michael, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, very much. Yes, the three of us are former members that are excited to come back, to serve the community on Parks and Rec. There's lots and lots of things to be, need to be done. And, I'm sure that y'all will be seeing a lot of us as, we make a lot of proposals and, that, and with the help of Roger, coming on board to, kind of kickstart us once again, because it's been a long time since we've, been together. I appreciate y'all's confidence.
Thank you for serving. Okay, Bryce.
Okay, is this thing on?
It is.
Okay, well, first I want to express how proud and how impressed I am with every single one of you with the honesty, the openness, the integrity, and the ethics that you all have displayed and demonstrated since you took over from the burning bus that we all inherited. So I thank you very much. I think the voters of Edgewood owe themselves a congratulations in terms of how well they did in terms of electing you all to sit in those seats. So wanted to make sure I said that. Thank you. As far as Parks and Rec is concerned, I want to thank Ralph Hill for blowing the dust off this thing and getting this thing started up again. Ralph does a stupendous job of waking this thing up. It's been necessary for a long time. We got ignored. I suggested to Jerry one time during a private conversation that said, since Mayor Bassett, former Mayor Bassett, once acknowledged the fact he didn't know what Parks and Rec did or what they were supposed to do or where they were supposed to go, I thought we should make him a forced apprentice member, but gag him so he couldn't say anything and you had to listen to everything we did. Not sure that would go over. As far as my comments here, I have three things I kind of like to mention, and I know they're not on the agenda now. I know they're not going to be on the agenda for a while. Some may be sooner than later. But I wanted to put them on the table now because I think they're worthy of consideration. And the first is, I would like to see the establishment of a construction oversight committee. A committee that has Edgewood's best interest at heart, who has the experience and the expertise and the knowledge to recognize what they're seeing, when they're seeing it, and why they're seeing it, both good and bad. A good example is when I was with the government, we had a program called QCQA. And contrary to popular opinion, that did not stand for quit checking, quit asking. Basically, it was a quality assurance program that ensured the integrity of the materials and the procedures and the processes that were being delivered to satisfy the contract. Edgewood has not had that. Edgewood has not even had exposure to access to that. And I would sure like to see that happen. And I think that committee could also review specifications, catch hitches in the get along there. They could look at maintenance contracts if that was desired. I think we could negotiate and discuss what needed to be included, but I would think that would be necessary. And if the commission was willing, I would volunteer to serve on both Parks and Rec and that committee at their pleasure. So that's the first suggestion. The second thing that I would like to suggest is that roads have been a huge, huge issue ever since I've been paying attention to Edgewood politics. Everybody complains about the roads. They want better roads. They want dependable roads. They want quality roads.
But there's some problems associated with that in terms of trying to pave things. If you look at asphalt, I talked to a friend of mine who used to be the pavement engineer for the DOT, and he was saying that, for a 1 lane mile of SB4 pavement, you're talking about $150 a ton for the pavement. So you're going to $50,000 to $60,000 per lane mile for chip seal. You're talking about $150,000 per lane mile for asphalt, SP4 asphalt paving. So you're looking at a ratio of about 3 to 1. Now, obviously, there's some things that have to be taken into consideration on that, but I think right now, with dollars being limited and the effort to try and stretch those dollars to cover as much as we possibly could, I would like to suggest that you think about putting a moratorium on putting any asphalt pavement down for the next period of time, let's say 5 years. Let's go with chip seal, get as much as we can chip seal. And then once that moratorium period is passed, then we can take a look at deciding, excuse me, do we want to put asphalt down somewhere? Do we want to continue with a chip seal? But I think for the initial get-go, let's see if we can't get in front of the curve. Let's see if we can't get as much initial paving done using the chip seal and go at least 3 times as far as we would have if we had tried to do asphalt. So just a thought I figured I'd put in front of you. The last thing I'd like to put to you is a little bit more out in left field sort of a thing, but there's a thing, a technology I've used in my projects in other states that I think would be really, really useful here, and that's called injection wells. When we have a storm event, we get lots and lots of water, and then we go for long periods of time in between where we don't have lots and lots of water. And the water that we got runs off somewhere and evaporates. An injection well was a deep hole in the ground, 30, 40, 50 feet deep, whatever. It's filled with drain rock, and then the water, when it's coming down an arroyo, gets intercepted and fills up that injection well before it moves on downstream to where it might encounter another injection well. When that's filled, it moves on downstream to another injection well. I would like to suggest that we think in terms of trying to put together some policies, some procedures, some thoughts on installing injection wells in our major drainages here in Edgewood that would help mitigate flood damages, would help improve our water quality. If we wanted to look at it, it would provide a means of access for fresh water following rainfall events without losing that water to evaporation. And I think it would be a very, very useful way to move towards the environmental ecological benefits of trying to start recharging the groundwater aquifer out here in the Estancia Basin. So it's one of those things. I've talked to the state engineer. They were surprisingly enthusiastic about it. He said he wanted to see something on his desk. He was hoping he would see something on his desk. So I figured I'd put this in front of y'all. Let's think about it. Let's see if there's somewhere we can go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. Awesome.
With 1 M.
With 1 M, not 2. Great ideas, very great ideas. I'm gonna suggest a 5-minute recess. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
All right. Back in session now. Next is selection of capital outlay projects for applications. This relates to, any type of funding application, grants, legislature, but we have a lot of worthy projects and apparently funding coming down the pike, so, just wanted to again bring it up. Happy to hear from the public on these things as well, if anybody would like to speak. But I guess I'll just turn this over to Commissioners Howard and Anaya. You guys have been working with the engineers and put this list together.
Yeah, as you know, there wasn't really any transitional information passed on, so we had to go directly to the engineers. We met with 4 of them to go over the projects in their various states and look for any candidates that are viable without fatal flaws or significant problems. So the first one, of course, the critical one for the town of Edgewood and any kind of business development, we can only hook up maybe 3 or 4 more businesses before the plant's at capacity. The sewer plant's permit was reduced the capacity or operating the capacity by 50% due to the consistent Environment Department violations that have been persistent for years. So we are now down to half of the plant's capacity on the permit and can only operate at 50%. So that's another one that we have the Dennis Engineering report that gave us options on how to permanently fix this plant or the endemic problems that have persisted with it. So that's number 1 on the list. Number 2 is the Edgewood 7 Trail, which has significant problems in terms of right-of-way that has never been applied for from the BLM. So the next project is Echo Ridge, which relates to that because that's Section 34, the BLM land. So because it was never applied for, the right-of-way process can take up to 2 years at the federal level. However, the good news is that we can make the improvements that were agreed to by the BLM with the town under their lease. If we do that, which is already on the ICIP, if we do that, then we will end up owning that Section 34, and right-of-way will not be an issue because all of that frontage along Edgewood 7 will be owned by the town. That has been stalled for years. The original lease was back in 2008. It's been renewed several times, but those facilities have never been built. So we added that to the list because those two got to go together, Edgewood 7 Trail and Echo Ridge construction project for the park. That consists of about 3 miles of trails, those little park benches with little huts over them, some parking facilities. Number 4 is Wi-Fi for the town. Do you want to talk about that, Phil? Broadband?
Yeah. What we're trying to do on the Wi-Fi is to bring naturally to bring it so that the residents would be able to utilize a lot more powerful Wi-Fi, since everything is going to electronics now, that they would be able to run a lot more of their devices. And we're going to try to bring it throughout the main arteries, bring it in strong for businesses as they come in. And we'll be working with the Wi-Fi companies, more than one of them, to make sure that we do get this available for everybody here.
On this one, as I read it, just the way that it was worded, to me brings up concerns of anti-donation, and so I think that whatever we do end up doing in this particular area needs to be run through maybe our LEDA ordinance, definitely under some type of agreement where there's an exchange, because we really cannot use public funds to benefit a company or individuals. And so if it's, I mean, we do have Wi-Fi here, like for example, at Town Hall or our town buildings or parks. So that's all fine. You know, people can come here and use for free the Wi-Fi, and that's okay, because it's for the town business and they are able to also. But we cannot just basically, to give it an example, like build out a utility for somebody to use for free, because we're not allowed to do that with public funds. And so their agreements would most likely still be with the companies themselves, and then we could incentivize the companies. The companies also can utilize funding and grants as well. So I think that that's something that we could coordinate with them, but we just have to make sure that we're not crossing any lines on that donation.
Okay. So number 5 is the Route 66 sewer line. Years ago, that project was designed and proposed and actually voted on when Rita Loy Simmons and I know Sherry Abraham, maybe Councilor Ring was on that at the time, to expand the sewer line along there. We actually had, the town of Edgewood had many businesses that had applied for service in order to open up in the town and put down deposits. But that was never built, and it got changed, the priority got changed over onto Cactus Road on residential, which prevented Edgewood from benefiting from other services and new businesses in the town. So that one, I think, is a natural. It's already designed, it's ready to go. So that will help with business development.
Yeah, no, it definitely will. The question I have though is with that expansion, our current sewer plant won't be able to, doesn't have the capacity to really support that yet.
Well, we can hook up about 5 or 6 more businesses. I'll have to get into the exact calculation on the flows, but it depends on that.
Have we had any calculations on what the tap room, when they tap into the sewer plant, may?
Not to my knowledge.
We'll get that whenever they start submitting the applications for the business license and construction of the building, stuff like that. Then we'll start getting all of the calcs as to how many gallons they'll use, what's the disposal percentage, things like that. So we definitely will be watching those.
The other thing to think about is that when this is not an operating capacity problem, it's a permitting problem.
Yeah.
And the NMED did that to keep us Edgewood on a short leash because the operations have been so problematic. So by improving the efficiency with these repairs that are being made, the reliability, we can go back to NMED and say this, our business development, our economic development depends on this. We've proven that we've made these changes and then get increased permitting capacity.
Okay. So basically we would do this expansion, have it in place for when we do have the sewer plant at full running capacity.
Right, and the other thing about it is, if we don't ask for this, somebody told me one time, you know, they asked me to grab my left ear with my right hand, so I did this, and he said, why did you do that? And I said, well, because you asked me, and he said, that's the point. So we won't get what we don't ask for, and if we don't actually have to execute on a lot of these, but they are varying levels of priority for the town, and if we don't ask for the money, we won't get it. So this way, we're gonna go throw the kitchen sink in there on viable projects.
Okay.
So number 6 is water quality, which we've already voted on that resolution. So this is just getting money to investigate the feasibility, and if it's feasible to design and construct improvements that will change the water quality for the better. Number 7 is Church Street paving, which is already on the ICIP. There are some significant issues with that with regard to drainage when we met with the engineers, which is why the project has been stalled for several years. We really didn't know what that was, but there's significant drainage issues that haven't been dealt with. But if we go out for the money, those can be overcome, we think. So, Appaloosa has been designed already by Smith Engineering and is ready for paving, so we put that on the we put that on the list. Steeplechase Drive has been proposed by many people, and so we're going to take a look at that. And I think we've got traffic counts already in progress to try to look at that and see what the traffic counts are there.
Well, and with Appaloosa being paved, steeplechase is logical at that point.
Can I just confirm that you all are doing the counts now?
The equipment that we have, I was in contact with the company that we purchased it from, and they are educating me, and with Jesus, we're gonna figure out how to use the machine to properly do that count. The count is, what I did learn, is limited. It'll give you a count, but it doesn't do like timelines or anything like that. It just gives a base number of traffic, nothing beyond that.
Okay, so from the time period that you go and check it to the next time you check it, it's
Well,
just a number?
Yeah, it's just a number.
Okay.
And, I did, one of the things that it is possible if need be, we can also contact the state and they can give us, I'm sure we've all seen them, those little street counters, the thing that runs across the street. That's also a counter, and we can always get that from the state free of charge. They just loan it to us for whatever extended time we need it, so.
Okay, I would say, for the sake of time, we should get our equipment out there.
Mhm.
And what would the timeline be on that?
Hopefully, I can get it up and running tomorrow.
Okay.
But again, I spoke to Jesus today, and we're gonna see if, what the capability is. A gentleman I had a conversation with on the phone, he was not a nice gentleman, because I was not aware of, the way he was speaking was above my head. And, so hopefully with Jesus, because it was about IT stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully I could, with Jesus' help, we can cut that down.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And so with that, I think just starting with one and then going to the next will take a little bit of time, but we need the information pretty soon. And then in the meantime, Chuck, you could probably request from DOT the other counters, right?
I believe Kay, I spoke with Kay about Mr. Cog. She said that they may be able to help us out.
Yeah. Okay. So Mr. Cog as well, or in place of DOT?
I think it'd be quicker,
Quicker?
a lot quicker,
Okay.
especially quicker than state police too.
Okay.
And in our discussions with Smith Engineering, who's on our task order list, we just have to issue a task order. They mentioned that they could do that for us. It's one of the services they provide. So that would be another way to speed it up or do multiple roads all at the same time.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of a reaction here. Kind of the past is coming up. Because we were told that we had to have this counter. And then we budgeted the counter, and then we finally got the counter. But now I'm feeling a little upset that our engineers could have done this for us all along.
Absolutely
My
right.
gosh, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in our discussions with, the engineers, they not only talked about just laying the counters out there, but there's actually a process that's involved with that. The counters can actually tell us the type of vehicles that are going, the speeds that are going, and a whole lot of other items that, those counters actually do. So by us just taking and laying them out on the road really isn't gonna help us, honestly, without using the data properly. If we do that, then we'll have actually true information instead of just, we got 10 cars coming by.
Mm-hmm.
We'll know we have 10 cars or 8 cars and 2 trucks.
He said they even give you, peak hour counts.
Yes.
Versus off hour counts. So it is a lot more comprehensive information, and could be done quicker.
That also assists in establishing speed limits as well.
Yes.
Right.
That count, there's a whole bunch more to it than simply saying there was 50 cars.
Right. I think the original question from the commission was on the arterial roads, you know, how important is it? Is there a lot of traffic or just a little bit of traffic? That was kind of the main question, I think, for the ranking, to find out on the arterial roads. So again, it's a timing thing. I think the more information, the better. But if we're just simply trying to find out how much the roads are used for now, for the sake of the capital outlay and the projects, I think, you know, just getting the count will be okay for the moment until we get, you know, Mr. Cog, and if that's free, I'd rather do that than the engineers that may not be free, so.
And if that becomes problematic, okay, then we can talk about it.
Okay.
A question I do have, if you don't mind, how much data time do you need? Because I've heard 7 days, I've heard 30 days, I've heard, you know, how much, does anybody have any
I
idea?
recommend 1 week, that gives you a good picture.
Yeah.
30 days is just too much.
I just wasn't sure if there was something already that the state requires, you know, at a minimum.
Actually, I'd like 2 weeks. That gives us the weekends and the, peak times.
We can on the ones that give us more information, but right now, we're trying to determine how much these roads are used for the capital outlay, right? So, I don't know if we wanna go that long. And the interesting part about it too, is that if we did like, let's say Church Street to the east, to find out how much traffic there really is, and then if you compared other roads, it might be different days, like weekends are gonna be different than, you know, so that's kind of the hard part.
Well, that can be worked out, and if we need assistance, we can get it from either Mr. Cog or the engineers.
Okay, all right.
So the next item is improvements for Horton Road. And when we talk about paving on these roads, it could be, as Mr. Simon suggested, it could be chip seal as well. So we'll have to look at that. But these are generalized enough that if we get money for these projects, then we can then have time to digest the kind of improvements that we want to make. Number 11 is the Section 16 Bridge project. When we met with Bohannon Houston on this one, they admitted that this was a real problematic project because of the location. They located it down in the Arroyo and put it on pilings, and that there is a problem with drainage at the intersection of 344 and Bachelor Draw, where during a hard rain, water actually backs way up in the Arroyo. So we asked them if the bridge could be moved to a less problematic location and still be utilized. And Commissioner Brennan brought up a great idea about even if we are successful eventually in doing the BMX park, it could be moved there as a kind of a enhancement of that, or we could just move it upstream where the banks of Bachelor Draw are much narrower, and it doesn't have to be put down in there. The original idea, concept as I understood it from Bohannon, was to connect the trails that would eventually be built through Section 16. That can be done at various intervals that are not, or locations that are not as problematic. So it's still worth, I think, keeping it on the list and then looking at the feasibility of moving it. The one contractor they got to do a bid on it because of the problematic nature of the location bid $600,000 to install that bridge, which is incredible as a general contractor. I mean, I saw one go in an Angel Fire for about $100,000. So I think we can resurrect that project and make it cost effective so that the town actually benefits from it without giving up an arm and a leg.
Did you hear anything, Commissioner Powers, about, or in the files about the funding? And at one point in time, I think we were told that the town would only have to spend $80,000.
Yeah, they had a $200,000 allocation, which has been spent. If the project does not go forward, there is a suggestion that we would have to return $170,000 of that because the town only put in about 30. The rest would have to go back to the NMDOT. There is a possibility of negotiating that out, but it's not a certainty. They do sometimes negotiate that if there's a problem with the project going forward. But as far as the rest of the funding goes, we would need in excess of $800,000 to finish that project at that specific location.
I thought for some reason that the funding was already secured. Maybe we could go back and listen to the budget workshop where Carla addressed that. Because this is an important question as to funding.
Yeah.
I think the town wouldn't have to pay. I think there's grants and DOT was gonna cover it. To where it was pretty much ready to just put in.
Yeah,
But there's still issues with it even at that location.
They did say that there was another, amount of money, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was around $300,000 or $400,000, but it just wasn't enough, given the higher bids on that location to finish the project. That's why it didn't go forward. They did secure some money.
Okay.
So, number 12 is the trail system, which is a generalized design, acquire rights of way and construct a comprehensive trail system for Edgewood. There has already been trails planned on section 16, they could go there, but this is so general that we could design it where we want it to go and where we think it would do the best for the town. Then 13 is the long-term sustainable water supply for Edgewood, which we've already voted on a resolution to explore that. This will give us money to be able to do that. And then, I would like to amend this list. We didn't put the BNX Park on this list. So to explore the possibility, feasibility of that and funding for that.
There is a challenge too with that, as far as the lease and the land and, you know, the location of it. So there may be some, but definitely exploring, maybe even designing.
Right, it doesn't have to go in a specific location, so if there is a problem with the section 16 lease expiring, it's gonna expire in 5 years. And we haven't had discussions yet with the state, land office about how it's going to be renewed and what the cost of renewal would be. But this is vague, and this would be vague enough that it would be feasibility, design, construct, acquire. So that that's the one point that everybody has made about capital outlay improvements, is we need to be broad enough in our description of how the money's gonna be used, that if we can acquire it, we can acquire it. If we need to design it and construct it, we can do that.
So if we don't add it to this, there are other programs in the state, outdoor and recreation department, that grant, and program will be coming into effect come in June. And they have a lot of money allocated to that. The current secretary who is overseeing that is very, very much an outdoors and recreational oriented person, and what I've seen, what they've done up in the Northwest in the San Juan region, is just incredible with Farmington. And I think that's if we don't add it into this, I think there is a huge opportunity to get it in a few other programs.
Okay. And the experts are telling us, the engineers are really experts in this because they assist with funding all the time for these projects, that typically you don't get all the money anyway from one source and you end up having to apply for different directions. So that could definitely enhance and fill out the money needed.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's something I want to look further into as well.
So that's the list.
Along those lines, about funding, VEDA does a lot of that, for the towns also. They, guide you in the right direction for all the funding that are applicable to any type of project. So we have plenty of sources, to talk to, so let's just start talking.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the commission? Do you guys want to hear from the public on this? We could open up the floor.
We certainly can.
Yeah.
I would like to.
Okay, so I think there's consensus amongst the commission to open up the floor on this, for public comments on capital outlay projects. We'll start here in the room. Okay, Mr. Ring. former Mayor Pro Tem Ring, come on up.
Okay, let's talk about the bridge over troubled waters.
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry?
Can you speak into the mic?
Okay, yes. I can even take it off the hinges if you want me to. Yeah, let's.
Oh, that's much better.
That's too loud. That's the problem you have with the sound system. What do you want me to do? Is that close enough? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's the bridge over troubled waters now. When the bridge, when the documents were let out to bid and when they were, returned, everything was fine. There was no mention of anything being wrong with the documents, being wrong with the project. Now it seems we have, what, 3 engineers that have come forward and said that it's probably not a good project, or at least it needs to be moved someplace. Well, I've lived here for 37 years now, just about. I've had people tell me that they've seen the water go over the highway there. I have never in my 37 years seen water go over the highway at Bachelor Draw and 344. Maybe I was asleep at the wheel, I don't know, but I never have seen it. The thing, I'm sorry? Well, next time it happens, call me. I want to see that. Anyway, the project was approved, and now it looks like it may be one, if people want to move it. The bridge was donated to the town on the condition that it be placed where it could be seen from the highway, and that a plaque be placed on the bridge honoring Mr. Houston, who originally bought the bridge to Edgewood from down south. That was the agreement. And the person that, one of the people that agreed to it, and more or less was the person that got everything done, is Cheryl Benino. She's now going to join you folks on the governing body, or at least on one of the committees. I just think that if we're going to depend on somebody that made a statement about the bridge needs to be moved someplace else, or it's not appropriate there, that we bring them, ask them to come and tell us directly what they're saying, because opinions are like hind ends. Everybody's got one. And I want to tell you that I don't like this. I don't like the way it went. One of the 2 commissioners that testified tonight said we need to get rid of that bridge before you were sworn in. If you have any questions of me, I'll be happy to try to answer them. You got any pictures of those? Those people going over that bridge? All right. Anybody
All right.
got a question?
Any questions? Oh, I do have one. Why that location?
Why that location? Because that's where the highway department, as Roger Holden worked on it, that's where the highway department decided they wanted it. And that's why it was chosen there. So it's really strange to me that the highway department has spent millions and millions, probably billions of dollars over years, building structures and so forth, would make the kind of mistake that seemingly has been made and would allow the town of Edgewood to go forward, knowing that the bridge is not going to be suitable there. So I just can't understand.
Commissioner Powers and Anaya, can you guys address the issues that were brought up as to that location?
Well, essentially it was just what we said, that there's only 2 culverts that run in Bachelor Draw. And the engineers themselves said that they did the drainage analysis and saw that there was a problem with it backing up. I don't know why that didn't get addressed in the beginning. Maybe they thought NMDOT might add some more culverts there, which could, solve that blockage problem where backing up, where the water's backing up. The problem with the cost, is a different issue. The reason that the cost was escalated is, as I understand it, was because there was a single contractor that would bid on this, partially because it's built on pilings in the middle of the arroyo. So, that's what the engineers told us, and that people wanted it there. I'm not sure who people were. They said that's where they were directed to address it, and they knew there were problems, but they thought they might be overcome with DOT, adding more culverts under the state highway.
Well, the only other thing I would say is this: Roger Holden worked on this thing for about 3 years, at least 3 years, I think, getting material, getting information and everything. And I think, if nothing else, the town owes him at least an opportunity to come before the body and say what he found out, because it may differ completely from what's been told here tonight. So that's up to you guys. If you want more information, that's one place to get it. I'd also recommend that we get the engineers in here to see what they think.
The options are. Now, do you remember Mr. McGill had created a video?
Who's talking?
I am.
Okay, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
I was just making a comment that Mr. McGill had created a video that was very informative. And I remember there being an issue with ATVs, with possibly the height. If kiddos tried to go under it, that it could like knock them off, and or it could be dangerous. And then there was also another issue with flooding, and the suggestion being made that we put signs like "enter at your own risk" or something. And I thought, why don't we just put it in a place where it doesn't have to have that problem, right? Where it's not going to.
That's
flood.
fine.
So,
you know, it's in your hands now. I already said my dying song about it.
okay, all right. Thank you, Mr.
If you want to
Reed.
move it back further, at least that's better than putting it over on a motocross trail or motocross park, because
Well, people like bridges. They're aesthetically appealing. Mr. Simons, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to, make a little comment based on Councilor Reed's concerns. The calculations that I looked at suggested that the maximum water level would be about 2 feet above the finished elevation on the bridge when that drainage basin was at full flood. So consequently, it presented a major flood hazard in the present location. The drainage basin just contributed far too much work. The drainage basin contributed far too much water and runoff for that bridge to function safely under the anticipated flood conditions. So what needs to be done is it needs to be either elevated to where that final elevation is well above that maximum flood elevation, or it needs to be moved to another place where that finished elevation is above the maximum flood. But the quantity of water in that location is far too great for what's proposed. I would offer, as far as the DOT is concerned, at best, I've not seen any recommendations from the DOT, but I haven't been fully involved. But I have worked for the DOT, and I do know that when they make a preliminary suggestion, it is a preliminary suggestion because they have not taken the time, spent the resources or the studies to confirm, in fact, that that location that was recommended would in fact work. And that's why final designs on bridges for the DOT change location all the time, because where they originally wanted to put them ain't gonna work. This was engineered and everything. Drawings on it. There's no way, Chuck, it could have been, because it would have had to go through the STIP process for that to happen, the budgeting and everything else, the strategic pavement planning process for pavements and bridges. And I know that it did not do that. So.
Okay, thank you guys for your comments. I appreciate it. Anyone else here in the room? And then we'll go online. So those of you who have joined us on GoToMeeting, feel free to unmute yourself and speak to the capital projects if you would like. Anyone wanting to unmute?
Hi, this is Linda Burke from the Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, I would like to just also mention that from an economic development standpoint, the sewer along Route 66 would definitely be helpful. It would give the opportunity for businesses that might want to come here and build to know that they have access to that, because adding an additional septic system, and especially in locations along Route 66 where it's very rocky, becomes a difficult prospect. And if we would like to attract some of the businesses that local residents say they'd like to have here, it might facilitate that process greatly.
Okay, thank you. And I do know that that was the original vote of the council, was to do that phase of the sewer line. So that had already been voted on. Anyone else? And Jesus, can you unmute the callers, please? Caller 6, caller 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello? Go ahead. Oh, are you on? Go ahead.
Okay, this is Ray Seegers. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, I'm back on the bridge. Which, when I was on Parks and Recs, I fought, and several other people did, not to do that project, because what happened was we were given, it's like being given the Golden Gate Bridge, and then somebody says, we're going to drop it down here, and what do you want us to do with it? It's a bridge that, you know, originally was a highway bridge taking 2-lane traffic with a ton of abutment space and high-priced abutment necessary to support that heavy structure. My suggestion was cut it up with scrap metal, sell it, and build a nice little bridge like we want to build, which only takes foot and bicycle traffic. And I see them all over the state. And I would estimate that some of them probably cost about $100,000. The amount of money we have wasted on this project just because somebody said we can get a $400,000 grant is the typical thinking I think we need to get away from in this town forever, in practical things. I love what Bryce said about, you know, chip seal and other inexpensive ways to develop roads. We need to look at that. That's probably our salvation, because I just put in, or my client just put in, a road in an Edgewood subdivision for $340,000 and paved it to Edgewood specs. That adds about $15,000 to the cost of a lot. We have very few lots that can take that increase. So, you know, we just need to think in terms of what is practical and stay practical. And that bridge is impractical. Tom McGill surely showed us where it could go underwater and a 500-year flood or even less. So I don't know why we're continuing to waste our money on a project like that just because somebody gave us a big old steel bridge.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Ms. Eden, were you going to speak?
She's muted.
Caller 6 needs to unmute. Any of the callers would like to speak? I think we'll shut down. Okay, go ahead and mute. Any else? No, okay. All right, so we just need a motion to approve this, these additional, well, some are already on the ICIP, but to approve the town manager and the administration to apply for funding and these requests for the town of Edgewood.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll do roll call vote. Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Powers?
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
Okay, great. RFP for engineering services. For this, I added this on here because I just wanted to hear from you two. I haven't asked this question previously, but I know you've been meeting with engineers, so I wanted to find out, do we need an RFP for engineering services? I'm not sure what stage that it's at, as far as the 4 years that's allowed, or, you know, where things are, but what do you guys think?
Well, they mentioned that they had some time to run on their contracts.
Right, we have
Can you speak into the mic, please?
we have two engineers that stated that they are still on call, with the town, right now, so, I guess we need to follow up on that just to make sure.
And, you know, I'm wondering if it's possible to go out for RFP to add, an engineer or two to the pool.
Yeah.
That we currently have on call.
I think that would
Well,
be a great
to do an
idea.
RFP for a pool, they would just rebid, you know, all of the engineer firms that are interested would rebid because you can only go, the 4 years for professional services, so they would need to re-up their time, you know. And it doesn't mean that their contract goes away, it
Right.
just means that they would need to respond to the RFP. So,
Well, let's do that.
I think it's probably a good idea. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Just to kind of to refresh the list, see who's out there that might be interested. And, maybe Stephanie, you could find out when the last RFP was, and we could just use that as a template.
And also if we could find out when the contracts for the on-calls expire and how many of them are on call currently.
Okay. General public comments. I know.
Do you want to make a motion on that or for the RFP?
We can, yeah. I don't know that I don't think it's required by our procurement ordinance, but we can. So I'll make a motion.
Well, if it's not required, then we don't need to do it.
I'll do it. I'll make a motion that we go out to RFP for engineering services, or a pool of engineers. Donner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. General public comments. I know Mr. Hill, Ralph Hill.
I just have two quick suggestions so we can get out, let you go home. First of all, Linda Holly was the, our representative to First Choice, and I think one of you needs to be in that position. I talked to her in the past about getting the, clinic open for the mental health, the old building over there. And her excuse was, well, they're too busy with COVID, they don't have time to deal with it. I'd like to see us move forward on that. The other suggestion that I had was, I emailed the DOT a couple of times. You've seen all the traffic situation at the Classical Academy, and it's going to get worse with this new expansion. We've got a set of lights out here, traffic lights, that are not being used. And I don't know how to contact the DOT and see if they would move them down to cover the school down there, coming over the hill in the dip. It's kind of dangerous. In the back, the traffic's gonna back up even further on 344. There's just a couple suggestions.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone interested in serving first?
Yeah.
I would like to speak and I didn't get one.
Okay. Okay, just one moment. Any of you guys interested in serving?
I would like to.
Okay. All right, I'll about that position. I guess Susan Simon's come up.
With one S.
This is Susan Simons with 1S, and I live in the town of Edgewood. And I wasn't planning on speaking, which is why I'm not on the list, but the more you talked, the more things I thought about. First of all, I would like someone on the first choice board, because they do not have an X-ray machine here, which is just dumb. When they built it, they were supposed to, they thought about it, and then they didn't. So please think about that seriously. As long as you're having the photographer come, you folks need to be up there with the mayors as a group picture. That would be a good point to have. Before the burning bus, we talked about renaming or making a memorial of this street out here and naming it Howard Calkins Way or Howard Calkins Road or whatever you would like to do. So I would like to suggest that you think about that, perhaps as a memorial. And finally, what you were saying, sir, about the flagpoles, over where the animal shelter is and the courthouse, there's this little half patio. And originally, or at some point, it was discussed to make that an town of Edgewood Veterans Memorial. And when you were talking about the flags, I thought that's probably gone by the way too. So it might be something to think about, making that a Veterans Memorial over there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jesus, can you unmute the callers? We are now at general public comments. If anyone has comments, callers. 6, 10, 11. No comments, okay. And then moving on, we're joining by GoToMeeting. It looks like we have Garrett, Guest, Karen, Linda. Please scroll down, Jesus. Former Mayor Sturley, former Councilor Abraham,
Karen Kaiser,
Stream, and the EMPAC.org, and Tom. Any of you guys like to say anything? Okay, I just don't want to cut you off. So next we have announcements and calendar review. We have the special Town of Edgewood Commission meeting for a public hearing on liquor license, January 18th, 2022, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. here. And this relates to the tap room and is a kind of hybrid hearing, quasi-judicial, but required by RLD, Regulation and Licensing Department. And we wanted to have this locally. It must be done on this day because of the deadline. And so Tim did arrange that, and we worked out, the time frame that they gave us an extension. And so for this, I would like to ask Commissioner Anaya to chair this hearing, if you are okay with that.
Oh, sure.
Okay. You guys all good? Let him share that, just with his experience with the commission for the county. I thought that would be good. And next, second regular commission meeting for January, Wednesday, January 26th at 6:30. Don't forget that we do change to the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 6:30 starting in February. So that first meeting of February is going to come up really quickly. I don't know, is it the first or the second? It's the first. It's the first. Okay. So that would be February 1st. And then the town offices will be closed on Monday, January 17th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And future agenda items, we can add things on here as necessary. One of the items I know we need to add right offhand is the cannabis ordinance. We definitely need to get that moving quickly. So may even need to have it for the meeting on the 26th if possible. We have capital projects still going, of course, so we should probably keep that on. Community youth programming, can get an update on that. Town org chart, there were a couple of things that we were gonna add onto there, possibly. I think town attorney just as a placeholder, and then maybe possibly another executive level of position. We're not sure. Do you guys want to bring that back or not? As far as the town org chart.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Anaya.
one thing I'd like to see added to that is procurement officer.
Procurement, we did designate two.
Right. But still needs to be on the chart.
Oh, okay, as far as, designation of the CPO on the org chart, okay. Got it.
I have one item, we had talked about the Edgewood becoming a Purple Heart town,
Mm-hmm.
and that never got followed through by the previous administration. There was supposed to be a ceremony, which was supposed to happen last Veterans Day, it never happened. So I'd like to put that back on the agenda to complete that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could have, that gentleman that came out from Albuquerque here.
Yeah, we need to schedule it and then have a ceremony. Okay. Procurement ordinance. Do you guys want that back right now or hold off?
I think we need to hold off on everything else we've got on our plate.
Okay. Any other comments on that? You guys wanna wait to make any changes on the procurement ordinance? We're gonna be systematically going through all of the resolutions and ordinances and making sure that we're refreshing them for this form of government. There may be some resolutions that we rescind because they're just, moot at this point or not needed.
P and Z has a few of them in there.
Yeah, there's a lot to go through. So if we can leave procurement off for now, then maybe we can start with some of the others. One that I remember I sent, I think today or yesterday, was the Animal Control Board. I think it's an ordinance. Pretty sure it's an ordinance. So for that one, I think we just need to refresh it and then get some appointments to that board, because the community has already expressed interest in serving.
That was an ordinance.
It was what?
It is an ordinance.
It's an ordinance, okay. Okay. All right, thank you. So let's bring that one forward for sure. And codification, we can get an update from them. They were supposed to already have, by this time anyway, everything kind of in a storehouse, so to speak, in the cloud that we could access. So, perhaps, Monet, I know you have their contact information. You can check back with her and just see where they're at. And then an alternate signatory has been suggested by the administration that we do need an alternate person to sign, just in case Stephanie, let's see, we have Mayor Pro Tem, we have clerk, treasurer. Do we assign anyone else? I don't think so. So that is the problem, we need a third person, just in case one of you is not here to sign. So we need to bring that resolution and add in another signatory. So we need to think of who that might be. Echo Ridge lease, you check on that, and I would add section 16. And then the Purple Heart ceremony. Anything else for future agenda?
Yeah, the Economic Development Committee for the town of Edgewood.
Economic Development Committee, and that will be an ordinance. Okay. Any others? I think that's pretty good, but if you think of anything, feel free, you can always email or call Kay, let her know, or Stephanie. You guys wanna adjourn? You ready?
So moved.
Alright, so, okay, we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, we're adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending.